Alright, what is up guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Combiner Wars Deluxe class Dead End, and he's a really cool figure, and I like him a lot. So let's take a look, starting off in his vehicle mode. Oh, I think he's supposed to be a Ferrari. You may be, yelling at me right now like, no, you idiot! Yeah, so he's like, just, recognizable enough as one of the Ferraris, but not quite. So, that's what he is. He's mostly maroon with a gold band that stretches down his entire, length. He has a really nice Decepticon logo, and mine is a little off-center. You can see it's kind of tilted weird. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be on the hood or what, but whatever it is, I did notice that it's off-center. I don't mind it, honestly. I think it looks fine, but it's something I did notice. His headlights are painted in silver, and it's very nice. This whole bumper piece down here is this gunmetal gray, and it just looks really aggressive. Looks like it's going to rip your face off. He kind of reminds me of Knockout a little bit. Maybe it's just the color. I don't know. It's actually probably the shape of the car. It's just sleek. The one thing, if I could complain about the vehicle mode, is that this piece right here totally breaks up the flow of the car. You can see if this middle piece that's, you see the gunmetal gray painted, if that was left that gray color, I wouldn't mind. But these top pieces right here, see where it goes from red to gray to red? That bothers me. And it really breaks up the entire flow of the vehicle mode, and I really wish that, they were painted, or, Repro Labels has stickers that cover this up, and I would do it, but I'm paying a lot of money for a sheet of stickers, and everything else on it I don't like. The only reason I put stickers on them is to correct this little error, because it, that's just housekeeping at that point. It just cleans up a little bit of a mishap. But I'm not going to change the look of the vehicle mode, and pay to have all these stickers just for this one piece right here. So there is gray in the back and kind of breaks it up a little bit. But then, like in the taillights, there's these hinges for the legs, and the pin is in the taillight. So you can't even really tell it's there. It just looks like a taillight. Yeah, it's silver, but the way they've placed it, it looks hidden really well. And then there's this port right here, which is for the combiner hand-foot gun, if, you know. But it kind of looks like one big exhaust, and, to me that's fine. It just looks like a big old exhaust. All the windows are painted black, and to me, that is the way cars should look, because in Age of Extinction they were all translucent windows, and it made the paint budget suffer. But here it looks fantastic with all black windows. So take a note, Hasbro, this is good. Other than that, his wheels are silver, and well, the rims are silver, and the tires are the black color. Yeah, so he does roll significantly better than, you can see the wheels rolling there. He rolls significantly better than his partner of, partner in crime, Drag Strip. So, you can see there, them together. Drag Strip, since he is a Formula 1 racer, he's going to be lower and longer, but, in terms of looking straight at them, they look really good together. They look, they fit aesthetically together. All their angles and stuff look right. To me, they just look like aggressive little cars, and I really dig them. So we'll look at his weapons. I'll make sure I've got the right ones here. So his hand-foot gun, I don't know what this is. On drag strips, I said they kind of look like rail guns. These don't really look like anything. They kind of look like exhaust, but I don't know. I don't know what those are. So his hand-foot gun really doesn't, and it is the modified hand-foot gun, so it's the same as drag strips. He has the bigger thumb and the different design, and I'm a fan of that. So yeah, if you want, you fold this thumb up to make it the gun, so it's not sticking out. You can put it right here on top and have him blasting fools. There's nowhere else you can put it. Like similarly on drag strip, you couldn't put it on the side because it's so big. He just kind of sits in an angle. So the only place you can put it in vehicle mode is up top in this peg hole right here. And I don't even really do that. I just kind of leave them in car mode. I was telling somebody last night that I don't really use these except for a hand and a foot. I don't ever really use them as weapons. But his weapon he comes with is a pipe. Okay. So you can peg it in right here on the side of the vehicle. And for me, this is the driver's side, so to me, it looks okay. It's like a side pipe. If you wanted it to be in vehicle mode, you could run it as a side pipe. Because a lot of people on fast cars do side dump exhaust, which means that it just kind of comes out the side instead of all the way out the back. But you do have to deal with, it doesn't like sit all the way in, and it doesn't sit all the way flush. And this handle kind of sticks out in front of the wheel. So you kind of lose the illusion that it's a part of the car just because it doesn't sit on it really well. You kind of just, it looks like it's just hanging off of it. And that's, to each his own, I'll talk about it a little more in robot mode, but I really like the pipe just because of how silly it is, how silly of a weapon it is. So, we'll, take a look at that. So just like I did with drag strip, I'm going to take him to leg mode on the way to robot mode because it is so close to car mode. So to get him to leg mode, what you want to do first, you want to take your thumb or your finger or whatever and push this and pop this windshield up, and so this windshield comes up and flips all the way back like that. So now he's a convertible. Yay! Then what you want to do is you kind of want to wiggle this front end, and it tabs in 2 spots. So you kind of want to wiggle it to where it gets loose. There's a double jointed hinge right here. You just kind of swing it back like that. So now it's facing, you see that hinge is pointed straight up. Now it's pointed up. And then you just take the whole front of the car and lean it back like this. And leave all this tabbed in like that. And that's, and then you gotta, get under here and flip out the combiner port. But other than that, I'm sorry, I'm nudging the camera. That's the leg. And then you just take the hand foot gun and you just plug it in on the bottom here. And there he is in leg mode. I mean, that's it. That's all there is to it. Comparing him with drag strip, leg mode is very weak for me. I am not a fan. Drag strip, I said in his review, he looks good as an arm, but he also functions as a leg really well. I don't think dead end functions as a leg well at all. And it's mostly because this big old chunk of car hanging off the front right here. Now, some people have modified it, and they'll flip, whoops, sorry, I'm pulling it close. They'll flip this panel up and, maneuver some of this stuff and, angle it and do all kinds of weird stuff like that to where, it looks a little bit better. That's kind of okay, but then again, it's a huge knee. I just kind of wish it would sit upright and not be in the way. But instead, you have this huge hunk of car that just folds down, and now everything's coming loose because I'm fiddling with it. You just have this huge hunk of car, and this might be where I flip him around and use him like this in leg mode, because to me that looks better instead of having a huge just chunk of automobile hanging off the front of the knee. And then another thing that I don't really like about the leg mode is because, and it's just the way he's designed, because of the way this rear end tapers down, your foot is left looking massive. Look at how massive the foot looks. And it's the same size, but because of the bulk of drag strip, the foot doesn't look near as big because it's hidden more by these pieces. But if you're looking at it, well, I'm going to move this out of the way because if you're looking at it like this, and they're side by side, Dead End's foot looks bigger, just because of the way he's designed. And to me, it just looks in the way and kind of crappy, honestly. The foot just looks huge. And it's just an illusion because of the way the whole bottom is designed. But I think I've figured out that because of all this kibble and the way drag strip is, all the robot bits kind of envelop the foot and make it look like it's a part of it. Here you can tell it's a separate piece, and it's not incorporated into any of this. So that's the way I see it. So there's leg mode. So now we have all that aside, let's go to robot mode, because this is where this figure really shines. So you want to pull this foot off, and the transformation to robot mode is quite genius. I'm a big fan of it. You flip that combiner port down, and you can see here, because of the way all this folds up, you can't even see a lot of the robot junk. You can see his hips right there. But because of the way all this folds up and covers up where his hands are and all that, it really kind of looks like the underside of a car to me. I mean, it looks clean and simple. So that's something, to take note of. I should have said that earlier, but I didn't. Whatever. So now what you do is you want to take this piece and you want to, you know, swing it around back front, and then you want to leave the windshield down, and then you kind of angle this front bumper, and it swings down and compresses along his back like that. And then you want to take this panel and you want to flip it down, and it locks into place, and so that reveals his head. So, you know, that's another problem with the leg mode, is his head is not hidden, it's just kind of covered up. So if you uncover it with this panel, you know, you lose that illusion. Anyway, so then you want to take these legs, and they tab into the side here, but you just kind of wiggle them, and then the whole back of the car like opens up like this, so it like butterflies open. So you can kind of see how that works. And then you want to take the back of the car, and this is a really interesting thing that happens here. You're going to fold it on these gray hinges right here. Now the knees are going to want to bend. You can see the knees right there trying to bend. Well, you don't want to fold them on that. You want to fold them on these gray hinges right here. And I'm getting my fingers underneath them so it'll do it right. So yeah, you just kind of take the rear of the car and you flip it all the way around like this. You can kind of see what I did there. So now you've opened up the whole back of the vehicle. And you can split the legs, it's no big deal. But then there's a little groove right here, and there's a little, well, there's a slot or whatever and a groove right here. So you want to close it up and line up that slot and that groove. And that locks this hinge into place, and that becomes the knee joint. So it kind of, you know, it's really neat the way it does that. So you can hear that kind of tab into place. And so now the leg is sealed up around that, and now he has his knees. So then you can kind of stand him up and twist his waist around, you know, twist his waist around. And then you kind of bring these arms, they come up on a hinge. And then they're bent a little weird. You can see it goes out like this, so I usually straighten them out. I flip out the hands. And people are complaining that the hands have this ratchet joint, and they're like, I don't know why it has this ratchet joint, because you can hear it clicking as you flip it out. That's because when Dragstrip holds his weapons, his hands kind of sag, and he doesn't have those. But these ratchet joints make his hands a whole lot more solid here in robot mode. So anyway, there's Dead End in his robot mode. And as you can see here, he's a really nice, solid robot. Immediate things that jump out at me are this panel right here that covers up the, you know, the combiner port. You know, sorry, I'm changing some lighting. There we go. You don't see the combiner port as much because of this panel, and I love it. And, you know, he doesn't have a lot of kibble anywhere. The backpack is a little bit big, but that's only from the side. From the front, you can't even really tell it's back there. I mean, there's a little bit of a lip, but for the most part, you can't even really tell the backpack is there. So, yeah, he looks great. Here he is with Dragstrip. So you can see that. They're roughly the same height. Dragstrip's just a little bit taller head-wise. But, you know, you can see their different proportions here, and it really kind of fascinates me because their torsos are the same height, but because of the way their waists are, like, Dead End's shins are very tiny, and Dragstrip's are huge, but, you know, it's just they're different proportions, and they look really good, and I don't know, I just like it. I like it a lot. So you can kind of see his face is really neat. He's got the jagged visor, and then the mouth plate, and he just looks really cool. He looks really mean. This kind of ties into, now that I'm messing with my lighting again, sorry, to me, this kind of ties into Dragstrip's, like his eye sockets or whatever, where it looks like he's crying, but he's not. So I really like the way it looks. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of gold detailing that's been revealed here in his mouth plate and on his little feetsies down here. Gunmetal Gray is back with his hands and his thighs, but there's also this lighter gray that's on his knees and his waist. So they do it's a lot of darks and lights, and I really like it. So it kind of, you know, shows. No, my camera's being stupid. It really shows, you know, just how cool this color looks. So we'll go back to his weapons. This pipe is hilarious because, let me just break this down for you. The aerial bots all came with guns, and so far the Stunticons are coming with melee weapons, and there's swords and axes, and Motormaster has a sword, like a huge sword, and what does Breakdown have? Breakdown has a I think he has an axe. I don't know. I know Off-Road has an axe. Whatever. They're all coming with melee weapons. And then Dead End here is just stuck with a pipe that he found, you know, in the back alley. He's like, hey guys, I'm going to beat you to death with this pipe. It's just funny to me that all the aerial bots have these guns and the Stunticons are just, like, left with melee weapons. To me, maybe it's a little more malicious getting beat to death with a pipe. But to me, I feel like the Decepticons would have guns and would be quicker to just blast you and get it over with. But that's just me. So, with that silliness aside, here he can hold his hand-foot gun. You can see that. He can hold it really well. And you can also peg it into his shoulder right here, if you wanted. So, whatever. So, posability-wise, he does have his neck does turn left and right, and he's got a little bit of a wiggle up and down. It's a ball joint, but it's not like a superposable ball joint. And then he has these shoulders right here, and if you wanted to, like on Dragstrip, you can kind of mess with these hinges a little bit to make him sad. You know, just kind of, you can emote with these guys really well, is what I've found so far. But he does have that cut in the ball joint, so he can put his arms all the way out. Universal shoulders, a upper arm swivel, and just about a 90-degree bend. He does have the broken elbow thing, to where, like, once you bend it past this point, it looks like his arm is falling off. But, whatever. Nobody's perfect. And then he has a full waist articulation, you know, ball jointed hips, thigh swivel, that bend at the knee, which, can I just talk about the legs here for a second? I really like how the back of the car kind of combines with this knee piece and just changes the way it looks. I like that a whole lot. He doesn't really have much of feet, though, but that's okay. And he constantly has to be standing in like an A stance, because the way the feet are molded, so if you're like that, he's going to fall over. But if he has to be standing wide-legged, and that may attribute to his height problem, but he does have to be standing at a little bit of an A stance. So, but yeah, there's his robot mode. He looks really, really good. Alright, so you guys know where I stand on leg mode, so let's check out what his arm mode looks like. Fortunately, we're pretty close to it. First, what you want to do is you want to take his leg, this leg only, and you want to open it up and take this piece, and it flips down like that. And you can close that back up. So that's where his hand's going to peg in. So that's really smart. I like the way they adjusted where his hand plugs in. So you want to just plug his legs together. Then you want to take his arms and you collapse them in on themselves and fold his hands in. And then there's a little slot right here on the side. And then there's a peg on the underside of his arm. And so anyway, you just peg it in right there, and it just kind of slots in. It doesn't like lock or anything, but it just kind of does that. Then you take the front of the car, you fold it up, unpeg this because you need access to that combiner joint. You want to fold this all back up like you're going to car mode, so like that. And then it hinges down on that hinge again, the infamous hinge. And you bring the combiner port out, and you rotate his waist like so. And then you take the hand-foot gun. And I find it best with him because he's on that peg and it's all hinged around, you know, having two pieces together. I usually fold the hand-foot gun out, you know, into its configuration first before plugging it in, and then sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate. But yeah, so there's that, and it plugs in like so. So I'm going to bend him at the elbow because I don't have any room. So there's his arm, and personally, this looks a little bit better than leg mode, just because of the way, you know, because these points stick up, it doesn't draw as much attention to the, you know, the arm. But if you notice, if I bring in Dragstrip here, you know, because these guys are both, in G1, these are both the arms. And so far, I've been convinced that that's what they'll stay. Let me prop them up. Yay! You can kind of see Dragstrip has a big chunk of stuff, too. So it doesn't really look half bad when he has all this stuff hanging off. But if you really wanted to, like I said earlier, you can adjust some of this, like flip that up, and that way it probably wouldn't be in the way. And that way you have, you know, the front of the car sticking up. And there is a little bit of hollowness. You can see through that windshield right there. But for the most part, I think that looks really good. The only difference when you put the bumper up like that is when you stretch the arm out, you can see he's got this huge like forearm. But it's not bad. I think you have more options in arm mode than you do in leg mode. But, you know, to each his own. That's the beauty of these Combiner Wars figures. And you can see here I've done the drag strip fan mode where I do his arms like that. So, you know, to do what you want to do with these guys. You know, if you like this hunk of car hanging off, more power to you. Go for it, man. Like, who am I to say, oh, well, this doesn't look good? So, you know, we live in a free country. Jeez. So anyway, Dead End is a really cool figure, and so far he's my favorite out of the two Stunticons that I have, mainly because he has a really interesting transformation, and I particularly like the way his legs fold out, and also because his robot mode covers up that combiner port. I just really like that. I like that it's not, you know, in your face. It really makes him look more solid as a robot, and I know Breakdown does that too, but we'll get to him later. But overall, he just is really solid. He has a really good transformation, a great car mode, even better robot mode. The leg mode is a little bit of a drag, but you can work with it. You can tinker with it enough to where it's, you know, it's passable. And then the arm mode looks really good, and you even, you know, you have more options to mess with it there. So overall, Dead End so far is my favorite, and I really, really, really like him. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see y'all later.